What's up guys, Luke Deutschlander here with another video. If you guys like my videos, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and drop a comment down below. In today's video, we're going to be talking about where's the best place to go and flip phones. So, I've traveled all over the states. I've been to California, Florida, Minnesota, Wisconsin, North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, yada yada. I could go on and on. So I've kind of been in every little spectrum of the states basically, and I've kind of flipped phones all over. And today I kind of wanted to talk about the major advantages that certain states have over others, cities, etc. So I'm not going to do a real long video on this just because of the fact that we're going to kind of keep it simple, because this might apply to some people and maybe some people it won't. Depending on who all watches this video. But first off, let's start off with California. So, California, one major advantage any sunny state or any state like California has is it doesn't snow there. So, obviously, having no snow means you can do business year-round. Now, people like me, I have a big truck. I drive a 2019 Ram. It has oversized tires on it. It's four-wheel drive. Nothing stops it as far as winter. However, when it gets really snowy out here in the northern states, not a lot of people want to meet up unless I drive directly to them. And, when I'm getting 13 miles to the gallon, that's not always plausible either when, there's a phone and it's only going to generate $20 to $30 net profit. So the snow kind of complicates things, where the states, in the south or California, any state like that, they have a huge advantage over northern states or just states that just get a lot of snow or it gets really cold out, just because of the fact that basically you can flip phones year round. Now, the second advantage that I'm going to give sunny states is the fact that basically if you really wanted to go to the extreme of actually picking up phones from your customers, me personally, I would buy a motorcycle or I would buy a moped over in those sunny states, and I would drive it year-round. Year-round for phone flipping purposes. Obviously, you're going to want a car or a truck, or maybe if you do a big deal, you're going to need something bigger. But if you drive this year-round, you're going to save so much gas money just picking up phones on your motorcycle. All you need is the motorcycle license, insurance, probably $25 a month. Absolutely cheap. You could offer free pickup almost to all your customers. Just imagine that. Now, me over here during the summer, I do try and pick phones up either on my moped, or if I have a motorcycle, I'll try and do that, just because of the fact that I'm going to save a lot in gas money. Although I like driving my truck and everything like that, I've had sports cars here and there. It really doesn't, it doesn't do anything for the customer, and it basically takes some of the profit out of the deal. Not to mention, if I got to drive 45 minutes away in my truck, typically I got to charge an extra $20. Now, if I'm on my motorcycle, first off, I love riding motorcycle. And two, it really doesn't cost me anything in gas, and the customer is going to think it's totally cool when I pull up on my motorcycle and I offer free pickup. They're going to think that's awesome, it's slick, it's smart, and it's doing the customer a favor, and customers like that. So that being said, that's two advantages for states like, California, like I said. One, obviously you get sun year round, you don't have to deal with snow. Two, you have the potential to drive a cheaper, mode of transportation basically than people in northern states. Now, the one big disadvantage of southern states, or I guess what I would call them is very populated states, typically places like California, Florida, they're a lot more populated. And this goes for any city too. Even if you're in a state that snows, this is also going to apply to you. But there's a lot of competition in the sunny states just because of the fact that there's more people there, more like-minded individuals and entrepreneurs. Where honestly, in my small town, I don't really see a whole lot of online entrepreneurs. I don't know of many. By the way, if you're out there and you are an online entrepreneur, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. Would love to hear from you. What do you do in Wisconsin? Just curious, throwing that out there. If there is anybody from Wisconsin. But you don't really see a lot of people from, small hick towns or, country bumpkin towns, 9-to-5ers. But in California, Arizona, Florida, I've been to Arizona twice. There is so many like-minded individuals and entrepreneurs down there that eventually there's going to be some competition for phone flipping. And then what's going to set basically the good from the great apart is going to be people who offer free pickup, people who might do mail-ins, people who have purchased my contact list and sell to the absolute highest individuals in the business and aren't selling to middleman direct buyers, but selling to the absolute top buyers in the industry. And basically what it's going to come down to is it's going to come down to people who are paying the most and people who offer the best service and people who are reliable. All the other people out there that are kind of like newbies and beginners, they're all going to eventually get beat out in these overpopulated, competitious areas. The other thing, though, another advantage, I'll give them a third advantage of these states that have a lot of population and competition, is there's a bigger market too. So it kind of balances out. So honestly, as far as northern states to southern states, I don't really have a whole lot of great stuff to say about the northern states, although I'll get to them in a bit. But honestly, spoiler alert, I'm going to give the win as far as the best place to phone flip is, in my opinion, a state where it's pretty much sunny year-round and you don't have any snow. So that being said, let's go into some of the advantage of a northern state or a smaller town, smaller town feel. Kind of that basically, I don't know, think of like a country song where, the guy's just driving on a dirt road or a back end road, and I don't know, he's just having a good time and, just happy to be alive. Well, the advantages of living in a small town is, one, you don't have much competition. So obviously you can kind of monopolize the market if there's not much competition. You don't have anybody to compete with. What do you have to worry about? Obviously you want to still try and do your best and do a good job and, be courteous to your customers. But with no competition, this makes things really easy. It's a lot easier than dealing with a lot of competition. Number two is the fact that a lot of people in the Midwest, or I guess I'd say the northern states, they're down to earth. They're easier to talk to. Most people understand, I want to say up here, where if you're like, hey, can you meet me halfway? They're like, yeah. Where there's been instances down in like Arizona when I was buying and reselling phones, I don't know, some people kind of just came off as like stuck up or prude, where they didn't want to meet, and it was, it was that was it. And I drive to them, wasn't a big deal. I mean, I enjoyed it, I guess, when I was down there. But, it's just, it seems like people up here, they get it. Not a lot of people up here have money or come from money, like I said, and most people are 9-to-5ers, so they're basically reasonable to negotiate, and they're down to earth. So that's two advantages I would give the northern states, or just places that are kind of smaller cities. One big disadvantage of northern states and smaller towns that snow is snow. I mean, there's no way around it. Snow is not a good thing. It's not a good thing for business. In my opinion, it kind of kills the business. Like I said, unless you have a big truck and you're willing to drive out in a blizzard, etc., like I am, nobody's going to drive to you in the middle of a blizzard and risk getting in a crash, or hurting themselves, etc., all over selling their phone. It just doesn't happen. So the snow is one major disadvantage of the northern states, just because of the fact that, like I said, it disables people from coming and bringing you their phones. Unless you got a big truck or you got, an all-wheel drive SUV, not a lot of people are picking up phones when we get blizzards here. So not to mention, people are busy, flooding happens. I mean, it's kind of a hectic time when it snows too much. It's not a good thing. That's absolutely for sure. So that's one big disadvantage. The third thing that I'm going to give the northern states basically a advantage of is word of mouth. It seems like most people up here, rather than relying on online advertising, etc., most people up here, at least in my area, they seem to rely on word of mouth, reputation, etc. So if you do good for one person, seems like they tell their friend, their family, and all their cousins, and then those people tell their friends too, and you end up getting a lot of business, basically. A lot more repeat business, it seemed like. Now, of course, I don't live in California or Arizona or Miami or anything. These are just all areas that I've been, North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, etc. I have never actually lived there, for like 2-3 years, but while I was down there for the 2 weeks, this is just kind of what I gathered. So, like I said, there's kind of some advantages and disadvantages. However, hands down, I would give the southern or the warmer states that basically don't get any snow, I would give them the advantage, and that I would say that they're probably the best states to flip phones. In any state like that, I just say hands down, not having the snow is just a huge advantage. Being able to do business year-round and that cheaper mode of transportation, I think, is huge. I mean, it cuts your expenses down, keeps your overhead low, which is awesome. It's all about overhead. If you can gross $200,000 a year, but if your net's only $20K, well, what are you really making? You're not making much at all. So having that reduced overhead definitely helps. So that being said, I hope this makes people think about stuff, especially if you're planning on moving, etc., if you're planning on doing this business. Now, don't let this discourage you. You can do this business from a small town. You can do this business, in a town or a state that snows. That's not a problem. I'm just simply kind of listing the disadvantages and the advantages from stuff that I've seen over the past 6 to 7 years and what I've experienced in this business. So that being said, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Hope it makes you think twice about stuff, and hopes it gets some ideas going in your head. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.